Chapter 1. The full moon hung heavy over the village of Thornwick, its silver light casting long shadows across the cobblestone streets. Nora Vale, a lithe young woman of 22 with raven hair and stormy grey eyes, hurried through the alleys, her cloak pulled tight against the autumn chill. She'd always avoided the full moon, a habit drilled into her by her late aunt, Sigrid, who'd raised her after her parents' mysterious deaths. "Stay inside, Nora," Sigrid had warned, her voice sharp with fear. The moon sees too much. Nora had dismissed it as superstition, but tonight, an itch beneath her skin refused to be ignored. She reached the edge of the village, where the ironwood forest loomed, its dark pines whispering in the wind. Her heart raced, an urge to run, to move, overwhelming her. "Just a walk," she muttered, stepping into the trees. "Clear my head." The forest enveloped her, its silence broken only by the crunch of leaves under her boots. The itch grew, a fire spreading through her veins. She stumbled, clutching a tree, her breath ragged. "What's happening?" she gasped, her vision blurring. The moon's light pierced the canopy and pain tore through her. Bones cracked, muscles shifted, and she screamed, falling to her knees. When the pain subsided, Nora wasn't herself. She stood on 4 legs, her fur black as midnight, her senses sharp. A howl escaped her, raw and wild, echoing through the forest. She froze, her wolf mind reeling. "I'm a wolf." A shout snapped her back. "There! The black beast!" Men with torches and crossbows emerged from the trees. Hunters, their faces twisted with fear and hate. Nora's instincts surged and she bolted, her paws pounding the earth. Bolts whizzed past, one grazing her flank, drawing a yelp. "Who are you?" she thought, panic clawing at her. She didn't know these men, but their cries, "Black Wolf, kill it!" chilled her. The stories Sigrid told, of a cursed bloodline hunted to extinction, flashed through her mind. No, that's myth. She ran deeper into the ironwood, her wound burning until exhaustion forced her to a stream. She lapped at the water, her reflection, a stranger's, a sleek black wolf with her own grey eyes. The moon's light faded, and pain gripped her again. She shifted back, human and shivering, her cloak torn nearby. "Gotta move," she whispered, wrapping the cloak around her, but voices neared, and torchlight flickered. Nora staggered forward, her strength fading, until she collapsed in a clearing, the forest spinning. A shadow loomed over her. "You're a long way from home," a deep voice said. She looked up, her vision hazy, to see a man, tall, broad-shouldered, with piercing green eyes and a scar across his jaw. His presence was commanding, like the forest itself bowed to him. "Who?" Nora mumbled, her voice weak. "Gideon Blackthorn," he said, kneeling. "And you, Black Wolf, are coming with me." Chapter 2. Nora woke to the scent of pine and wood smoke, her body aching on a straw mattress. She lay in a stone-walled room, a fire crackling in the hearth. Her flank was bandaged, and her cloak hung nearby, mended. Panic surged. She was no longer in the forest, and the man from the clearing, Gideon, was real. She sat up, wincing, and scanned the room. A wooden door, a narrow window showing dawn's light, and a tray of bread and broth on a table. "Where am I?" she muttered, her voice hoarse. Her memories were a jumble. The moon, the shift, the hunters, Gideon's eyes. The door creaked open, and a woman entered, older, with silver-streaked hair and kind brown eyes. "You're awake," she said, her voice warm. "I'm Mara, healer of the Iron Fang Pack. You're safe here." "Safe?" Nora scoffed, pulling the blanket tighter. "I was chased by hunters, and your friend kidnapped me." Mara chuckled, setting a fresh bandage on the table. "Gideon didn't kidnap you, he saved you. Those hunters would have killed you, Black Wolf or not." Nora's stomach dropped. "Don't call me that. I'm Nora Vale. I'm not—" "Whatever you think." Mara raised an eyebrow, sitting beside her. "You shifted under the full moon, child. black fur, grey eyes. You're a black wolf, whether you know it or not. Nora shook her head, her hands trembling. That's impossible. They're gone, extinct. Sigrid told me. Sigrid lied. A deep voice interrupted. Gideon stood in the doorway, his arms crossed, his green eyes intense. He wore a leather tunic, a sword at his hip, and his presence filled the room. Or she hid the truth to protect you. Nora glared at him. You don't know anything about me. Why am I here? Gideon stepped closer, his boots heavy on the stone floor. You're in the Iron Fang Sanctuary, my pack's home. You're here because you're a danger, to yourself and others, and because of a prophecy. Prophecy? Nora's voice rose, her fear sharpening. I don't believe in fairy tales. You will, Gideon said, his tone grim. It says a black wolf will end my bloodline. My pack wants you dead, Nora. I'm the only thing standing between you and them. Her heart pounded. Then let me go. I'll disappear. You'll never see me again. Gideon's jaw tightened. I can't. You're connected to me. I felt it when I found you. Connected? Nora snapped, standing despite her pain. You're delusional. Mara stood, her voice soothing. Enough, both of you. Nora, rest. Gideon, give her time. Gideon's eyes lingered on Nora, then he nodded. We'll talk tomorrow. Don't try to run, Nora. You won't get far. As he left, Nora sank onto the bed, her mind racing. Mara, what's he talking about? Connected? Mara sighed, adjusting Nora's bandage. Gideon's the alpha. His instincts are sharp. If he feels a bond, it's real. Maybe you're his mate. Mate? Nora laughed, sharp and disbelieving. No, I'm getting out of here. Mara's eyes softened. You can try, child, but the moon betrayed you once. It'll do it again. Chapter 3. The Iron Fang Sanctuary was a sprawling stronghold carved into the Ironwood's cliffs, its stone walls etched with wolf motifs. Nora, still sore but stubborn, explored her new prison under Mara's watchful eye. The pack's members, wolves in human form, stared as she passed, their whispers sharp, with distrust. Black wolf, they muttered, their eyes glinting with fear or hate. They think I'm a monster, Nora said, her voice low as she walked with Mara through a courtyard. Wolves trained nearby, their swords clashing in the morning light. They're scared, Mara said, guiding her to a garden of herbs and wildflowers. The black wolves were feared for their power. A century ago, they were hunted to extinction. Or so we thought. Nora's chest tightened. Sigrid never told me. She said my parents died in a fire. Was she? Your mother, I suspect, Mara said, plucking a sprig of moonwort. I knew a black wolf once, long ago. She had your eyes. If Sigrid raised you, she was hiding you from the hunters. Nora stopped, her hands clenching. Why? What did my family do to deserve this? Mara's gaze was distant. The black wolves were wild, untamed. Some say they challenged the alphas, others that they were cursed. The prophecy doesn't help. Tell me about it, Nora demanded, crossing her arms. Gideon mentioned it, but he's cryptic. Mara sighed, leading her to a stone bench. It's old, passed down by our elders. A black wolf shall rise, her power unmatched, to end the bloodline of the Iron Fang Alpha. Gideon's family has ruled for centuries. You're a threat, Nora. I don't want to end anyone, Nora said, her voice shaking. I just want to go home. Home isn't safe, Mara said gently. The hunters know you exist, and your power's waking. You felt it, didn't you? When you shifted. Nora nodded, her throat tight. It was. Like I wasn't me. Like something else took over. That's your black wolf blood, Mara said. You need to control it, or it'll control you. A shadow fell over them. Gideon stood nearby, his green eyes intense. Mara's right, he said, his voice low. You're staying, Nora. I'll train you myself. Nora stood, glaring. I'm not your prisoner. You can't force me. I'm not forcing you, Gideon said, stepping closer. I'm protecting you, and my pack. Protecting, a new voice scoffed. A man approached, tall, lean, with cold blue eyes and a smirk. You're playing with fire, Gideon. She's a black wolf. She'll burn us all. Cassian, Gideon growled, his posture tensing. Watch your tongue. Cassian's smirk widened, his gaze raking over. Nora. The pack's talking, Alpha. They want her gone or dead. Nora's temper flared. I'm right here. If you've got a problem, say it to my face. Cassian laughed, cold and sharp. Bold for a fugitive. You'll learn your place, Black Wolf. Gideon stepped between them, his voice dangerous. Enough. Nora's under my protection. Challenge that, Cassian, and you'll answer to me. Cassian's eyes narrowed, but he backed off. This isn't over, Gideon. As he left, Nora's heart raced. He wants me dead, doesn't he? Gideon's jaw tightened. He wants power. You're just an excuse. Mara stood, her voice firm. Train her, Gideon. She's stronger than she knows. Nora met Gideon's gaze, her fear warring with defiance. Fine, train me, but I'm not staying forever. Gideon's lips twitched, a hint of a smile. We'll see. Chapter 4. The training yard was a dusty clearing, ringed by pines, the morning sun glinting off the Iron Fang pack's weapons. Nora stood opposite Gideon, her muscles tense, a wooden staff in her hands. She'd barely slept, her dreams haunted by black fur and hunters' crossbows. Gideon's promise to train her felt like a leash, but she needed to understand her power and survive the pack's distrust. Focus, Gideon said, circling her, his own staff ready. He was shirtless, his scarred torso gleaming with sweat, his green eyes locked on her. Your black wolf instincts are there. Call them. How? Nora snapped, gripping the staff. I don't even know what I am. You're a wolf, Gideon said, his voice firm. Feel the forest, the earth. Let it guide you. Nora closed her eyes, reaching for the itch she'd felt under the moon. A warmth stirred, faint but wild. She swung her staff faster than she expected, and Gideon parried, his grin fleeting. Good, he said, stepping back. Again. They sparred, Nora's movements growing fluid, her senses sharpening. She ducked his strike, her staff grazing, his arm. Not bad for a fugitive, she said, panting. Gideon laughed, a low rumble. You're quick, but you're holding back. I'm not, she lied, her heart racing. His presence was distracting. His strength, his scent of pine and leather, the way his eyes seemed to see through her. Liar, he said, lowering his staff. I feel it, Nora. Your power's waking. And something else. She froze, her cheeks warming. What are you talking about? He stepped closer, his voice low. You're my mate. I knew it the moment I saw you. Nora's breath caught, her staff falling to the dirt. That's insane. I'm not your anything. Gideon's eyes softened, but his tone was firm. The bond's real, Nora. I feel you. Your fear. Your strength. It's why I can't let you go. She backed away, her heart pounding. You're wrong. I'm here to survive, not whatever this is. Before he could respond, Cassian's voice cut through the yard. Cozy, isn't it? He leaned against a tree, his smirk cold. The alpha and his black wolf pet. Gideon's posture tensed. Cassian, I warned you. Cassian ignored him, his eyes on Nora. The pack's restless, Gideon. They don't trust her, or you for keeping her. Nora's temper flared. I'm not a pet, and I don't need your pack's approval. Cassian's smirk widened. You'll need it when they demand your head. Prophecy's clear, Black Wolf. You end Gideon's line. Gideon stepped forward, his voice dangerous. The prophecy's a story. Nora's no threat. Then prove it, Cassian said, his tone mocking. Give her to the pack. Let them decide. Nora's stomach twisted, but she held Cassian's gaze. I'm not afraid of you. You should be, Cassian said, turning away. This pack chews up outsiders. As he left, Gideon turned to Nora, his eyes intense. He's testing me, but I won't let them hurt you. Why? Nora asked, her voice shaking. Why risk your pack for me? Gideon's hand brushed hers, a spark passing between them. Because you're worth it. She pulled away, her heart a storm. Don't say that. You don't know me. I will, he said, his voice steady. Starting tomorrow. First test coming. Chapter 5. The Iron Fang pack gathered in the stronghold's great hall, their murmurs filling the stone chamber. Nora stood at its center, her cloak tight around her, her grey eyes scanning the crowd. Gideon sat on a carved throne, his green eyes fixed on her, while Cassian smirked from the sidelines. The pack had demanded a test to prove Nora's loyalty. A relic to be retrieved from a cursed cave in the ironwood. Failure meant exile, or worse. This is madness, Mara whispered, standing beside Nora. The cave's haunted. Spectral wolves guard the relic. Then I'll face them, Nora said, her voice steadier than she felt. I'm not running. Mara's eyes softened. You're brave, child, but be careful. Cassian's scheming. Gideon stood, silencing the crowd. Nora Vale will retrieve the moonstone from the Wraith Cave, he declared, his voice commanding. If she succeeds, she stays. If not, he paused, his jaw tightening. She leaves. The pack murmured, some nodding, others glaring. Cassian stepped forward, his voice smooth. And if she fails, Alpha, what then? Will you let her walk, knowing she's a black wolf? Gideon's eyes blazed. She won't fail. Nora met his gaze, her heart racing. No pressure, she muttered. The Wraith Cave was a jagged maw in the forest, its entrance shrouded in mist. Nora stood before it, a dagger at her belt, Mara's moonwort charm in her pocket. Gideon had insisted on escorting her, but the pack's rules forbade his help inside. You're not alone, he said, his voice low. I'll be here. Don't get sentimental, Nora said, forcing a smile. I'll be back. He grabbed her arm, his touch warm. You better. She entered the cave, the air growing cold and heavy. Shadows danced on the walls, and a low growl echoed. Her black wolf instincts stirred, her senses sharpening. Show yourself, she called, her voice echoing. Spectral wolves materialized, their forms translucent, their eyes glowing blue. They lunged, and Nora dove, her dagger slashing air. Her heart pounded, but the warmth in her chest grew, her power waking. She closed her eyes, reaching for it, and her body shifted, not fully, but enough. Her hands glowed, and she struck, her light dispersing a wolf. The others circled, but Nora moved faster, her instincts guiding her. She reached a pedestal where the moonstone, a glowing orb, rested. A final wolf lunged, but a shadow moved. Gideon, his sword flashing. I said I'd be here, he growled, dispatching it. You cheated, Nora said, grabbing the moonstone, her breath ragged. Call it insurance, Gideon said, his grin fleeting. They emerged, the pack waiting. Nora held up the moonstone and cheers erupted, though Cassian's scowl deepened. She passed, Gideon declared, his eyes proud. Nora met his gaze, her heart a tangle of fear and trust. One down, she whispered. How many more? As many as it takes, he said, his voice steady. You're not alone, Nora. Chapter 6. The Iron Fang Sanctuary's library was a cavern of ancient secrets, its stone walls lined with dusty tomes and scrolls yellowed by time. Nora Vale sat at a weathered oak table, her raven hair falling over her shoulders as she pored over a leather-bound journal she'd found hidden behind a loose stone. The moonstone test had earned her a grudging reprieve from the pack's hostility, but Cassian's cold stares and the whispers of Black Wolf kept her on edge. The journal, etched with a wolf's head and a crescent moon, felt like a lifeline to her past. Find anything? Mara asked, entering with a tray of tea and bread. The healer's silver-streaked hair glinted in the torchlight, her brown eyes warm but cautious. Nora didn't look up, her finger tracing spidery handwriting. "This belonged to my mother," she said, her voice low. "Her name was Elise. She was a black wolf like me." Mara set the tray down, sitting across from her. "Elise," she murmured, her gaze distant. "I knew her long ago. She was fierce like you." "What does the journal say?" Nora's throat tightened. "It's a history of the black wolves. They were guardians once, not monsters. But their power, shifting without a moon, healing, harming, it scared the other packs. They were hunted for it." Mara nodded, pouring tea. "The Ironfang pack feared them too. The prophecy didn't help." "That damn prophecy," Nora muttered, closing the journal. "It says I'll end Gideon's bloodline, but the journal hints at a ritual to break it. Something about trust between an alpha and a black wolf." Mara's eyes widened. "A ritual? That's new. What else?" Nora hesitated, her fingers brushing the journal's cover. "It's vague. Says it needs a bond, a sacrifice. But Elise wrote, 'The black wolf's heart must trust the alpha's soul.' Sounds like a fairy tale." "It's no tale," a deep voice said. Gideon Blackthorn stood in the doorway, his green eyes intense, his leather tunic scuffed from training. "If there's a way to break the prophecy, we need it." Nora's heart skipped, her guard rising. "How long were you listening?" "Long enough," Gideon said, crossing the room. He pulled a chair beside her, his scent, pine and leather, filling her senses. "You should have told me about the journal." "You're not my keeper," Nora snapped, her grey eyes flashing. "I'm still figuring this out." Gideon's jaw tightened, but his voice softened. "I'm trying to help, Nora. The pack's restless. Cassian's stirring them up, saying you're hiding things." "He's not wrong," Nora said, her voice sharp. "But this is my mother's journal, my past. I'm not handing it over." Mara raised a hand. "Enough. Gideon, she's right to guard it. Nora, he's right about the pack. Share what you can for both your sakes." Nora sighed, opening the journal again. "Fine." Elise wrote about a shrine, hidden in the ironwood. It's where the ritual happens, but it's dangerous, guarded by old magic. Gideon leaned closer, his shoulder brushing hers. "Then we find it. Together." Nora met his gaze, her pulse quickening. "Why are you so sure about me?" "The prophecy says I'll destroy you." He studied her, his voice low. "Because I feel you, Nora. In my bones. You're my mate, prophecy or not." Her cheeks warmed and she looked away. "Don't say that. It complicates everything." Mara chuckled, standing. "Complicated's an understatement. I'll leave you two to it." As Mara left, Gideon's hand hovered near Nora's. "I'm not asking you to trust me yet," he said. "But let me help. For the pack. And for you." Nora nodded, her heart a tangle of fear and longing. "All right. But no secrets, Gideon." "No secrets," he promised, his eyes steady. Chapter 7. The great hall buzzed with tension, the Ironfang pack gathered under torchlight. Nora stood before them, her cloak tight, her mother's journal hidden in her pack. Gideon sat on his throne, his green eyes scanning the crowd, while Cassian stood nearby, his blue eyes glinting with malice. The Moonstone test hadn't silenced the pack's doubts, and Cassian's whispers had fanned their fear into a demand for judgment. "Order," Gideon called, his voice cutting through the murmurs. "Speak your grievances." A burly wolf, Torren stepped forward, his face hard. "The Black Wolf's a threat," he said, pointing at Nora. "She passed one test, but the prophecy's clear. She'll end our Alpha's line." Murmurs rose, some nodding, others hesitant. Nora's temper flared. "I'm not your enemy," she said, her voice ringing. "I didn't ask for this. I'm here to survive, same as you." Cassian smirked, stepping forward. "Survive or plot?" "You're hiding something, Black Wolf. The pack deserves to know." Nora's hands clenched, her power stirring. "My name's Nora, and I'm hiding nothing you need to know." "Enough," Gideon said, standing. "Nora's proven her loyalty. The Moonstone's back because of her." Cassian's voice was smooth, venomous. "One relic doesn't erase a prophecy, Gideon. You're too close to her. Blinded by… what? A mate bond." The hall gasped, and Nora's face burned. Gideon's eyes blazed, his voice dangerous. "Watch yourself, Cassian. My judgment's clear." "Then let her face trial by combat," Cassian said, his smirk cold. "Me against her. If she's no threat, she'll win." Nora's heart pounded, but she stepped forward. "Fine, I'll fight you." Gideon grabbed her arm, his voice low. "Nora, no, he's trained. You're not." "I can handle him," she said, meeting his gaze. "I have to." Mara, standing nearby, shook her head. "This is reckless, Gideon." "Stop it." Gideon's jaw tightened, but he nodded. "Trial by combat tomorrow. Nora, you train with me tonight." The crowd dispersed, their whispers trailing. Cassian approached Nora, his voice low. "You'll regret this, Black Wolf. I don't hold back." "Neither do I," Nora shot back, her grey eyes fierce. In the training yard, under a waning moon, Gideon drilled Nora relentlessly. Her staff clashed with his, her muscles aching, but her Black Wolf instincts waking. "You're strong," Gideon said, parrying her strike. "But Cassian's ruthless. Don't let him bait you." "He's already in my head," Nora admitted, panting. "He knows about the mate bond." Gideon lowered his staff, his voice soft. "It's real, Nora. I feel you. Your fear. Your fire. I'm not giving up on us." She stepped back, her heart racing. "There's no us if I'm dead tomorrow." He grabbed her hand, his touch warm. "You won't die. I'll make…" "Sure of it?" Nora pulled away, her voice shaky. "Don't make promises you can't keep." Chapter 8. The training yard was a ring of torchlight, the pack encircling it like wolves around prey. Nora stood at its center, her leather tunic tight, her hands gripping a blunted sword. Cassian faced her, his lean frame coiled, his blue eyes glinting with intent. The trial by combat would prove her worth, or seal her fate. Gideon watched from the sidelines, his green eyes tense, his fists clenched. Mara stood beside him, her face grim. "Begin!" Torren shouted, acting as referee. Cassian lunged, his sword flashing. Nora dodged, her Black Wolf instincts surging, but he was fast, his blade grazing her arm. She hissed, striking back, her sword clanging against his. The pack cheered, some for Cassian, others hesitant. "You're slow, Black Wolf," Cassian taunted, circling her. "Gideon can't save you now." "Shut up," Nora growled, her power stirring. Her eyes glowed faintly, and she shifted, partially, her hands claw-like, her speed doubling. She struck, her sword knocking Cassian's aside. The crowd gasped, and Cassian's smirk faltered. "Freak!" He spat, recovering. He feinted, then kicked her knee, sending her stumbling. Pain flared, but Nora's power surged, a warmth in her chest. She roared, her form flickering between human and wolf, and tackled him, her sword at his throat. "Yield!" She snarled, her voice echoing with her Black Wolf strength. Cassian's eyes widened, fear flashing, but he laughed. "Mercy! Weak!" Nora pressed harder, drawing a thin line of blood. "I said yield." He nodded, his smirk gone. "I yield." The pack was silent, then erupted, some cheering, others murmuring. Nora stood, her chest heaving, her power fading. Gideon rushed to her, his hand on her arm. "You did it," he said, his voice raw. "I knew you would." "Don't get sappy," Nora said, but her smile was weak. Her knee throbbed, and her power felt unstable, like a fire she couldn't control. Mara approached, her eyes proud. "You showed them, child. But Cassian won't forget this." Cassian stood, wiping blood from his neck. "This isn't over, Black Wolf," he said, his voice low. You've just made enemies. Gideon stepped forward, his voice dangerous. Threaten her again, Cassian, and you're done. Cassian smirked, walking away. The pack dispersed, some nodding to Nora, others avoiding her gaze. Torren clapped her shoulder. Not bad, girl. You're tougher than you look. In her chamber, Nora collapsed on her bed, the journal beside her. I won, she whispered, but fear lingered. Her power was growing, but so was Cassian's hate and the prophecy's shadow. Chapter 9. The ironwood forest was quiet under a starlit sky, its pines swaying in a gentle breeze. Nora sat on a fallen log, her cloak wrapped around her, her mother's journal open in her lap. The combat trial had earned her allies, but Cassian's defeat had deepened his vendetta. Gideon had insisted on a night patrol to clear her head, and their walk had led here, to a clearing where the stars felt closer. You're quiet, Gideon said, leaning against a tree, his green eyes watching her. His sword rested at his hip, his posture relaxed but alert. Nora closed the journal, her voice soft. I'm tired. Of fighting, of proving myself. I just want answers. He sat beside her, his warmth grounding. You'll get them. The journals. A start. She glanced at him, her grey eyes searching. Why are you so sure? The pack hates me. Cassian wants me dead, and your prophecy says I'll destroy you. Gideon's hand brushed hers, a spark passing between them. I don't care about the prophecy. I care about you. Her heart raced, and she pulled away. Don't. The journal warns about this. A black wolf mating with an alpha. It could make the prophecy worse. He tilted her chin up, his voice low. I'm not afraid of fate, Nora. I feel you, your strength, your heart. You're my mate. She stood pacing. You keep saying that. But what if it's a mistake? What if I hurt you? He followed, grabbing her shoulders. You won't. I trust you. Her eyes stung, and she leaned into him, her resolve crumbling. I'm scared, Gideon. Of this. Of me. His arms wrapped around her, his voice soft. I'm scared too, but we're stronger together. Their lips met, a kiss soft but urgent, like a promise against the stars. Nora's power hummed, stable for the first time, and she felt him, his strength, his heart. But fear lingered, and she pulled back, breathless. We can't, she whispered. Not until the prophecy's broken. Gideon nodded, his eyes dark. Then we break it. For us. A twig snapped, and they spun, hands on weapons. Mara emerged, her face apologetic. Sorry, she said, but you're needed, Gideon. Cassian stirring trouble again. Gideon cursed, his hand lingering on Nora's. Stay safe, he said, then followed Mara. Nora sat, her heart a storm. The journal's warning echoed, but Gideon's kiss burned brighter. She opened it, finding a new page. The Black Wolf's love is her strength, and her doom. Chapter 10. The sanctuary's healer's hut was warm, filled with the scent of herbs and wax. Nora sat by Mara's fire, the journal open, her mind reeling from the kiss and its implications. Mara ground herbs, her hands steady, but her eyes held a weight Nora hadn't noticed before. You're troubled, Mara said, not looking up. The journal? Nora nodded, her voice quiet. It's more than that. Gideon, he thinks I'm his mate. But the journal says it's dangerous. Mara set her pestle down, her gaze sharp. Love's always dangerous, child, especially for a black wolf. Nora's chest tightened. You knew my mother, Mara. Tell me about her. Why did she hide me? Mara sighed, sitting beside her. Elise was my friend. She was a black wolf, powerful but kind. She loved an alpha. Your father, I suspect. But the hunters came, led by a traitor in our pack. They killed her and your father to end the black wolf line. Nora's hands trembled. A traitor? Who? Mara's eyes darkened. I never knew. But Elise's last words were to protect you. Sigrid took you, hid you. She saved you. Nora's vision blurred, and she stood, pacing. Why didn't she tell me? I could have been ready. Ready for what? Mara asked, her voice gentle. To fight hunters? To face a prophecy? She gave you a childhood, Nora. That's love. A knock interrupted them. Gideon entered, his face grim. Nora, we need to talk. I found something. He held a parchment, its edges charred. It's from Cassian's quarters, a letter to hunters, promising a black wolf's location. You. Nora's. Blood ran cold. He's the traitor. Not sure, Gideon said, his jaw tight. But his family's tied to hunters. His father hunted black wolves. Mara stood, her voice sharp. Confront him, Gideon, before he brings them here. Gideon nodded, his eyes on Nora. Stay with Mara. I'll handle this. No, Nora said, her voice firm. If he's after me, I'm facing him. Gideon's eyes softened, but he nodded. Together then. As they left, Nora's power stirred, a quiet strength. Her mother's death, Cassian's betrayal, Gideon's bond, it was all connected. And she'd fight to uncover the truth. Chapter 11. The Iron Fang Sanctuary's courtyard was bathed in the golden light of dawn, the air crisp with the promise of autumn. Nora Vale stood before the pack, her raven hair braided tightly, her grey eyes steady despite the weight of their scrutiny. The Moonstone and combat trials had earned her a fragile acceptance, but the prophecy still cast a shadow. Today, the pack demanded a final test, a ritual hunt to prove Nora could protect them, not destroy them. Gideon Blackthorn, the alpha, stood at her side, his green eyes fierce, while Cassian's cold smirk lingered in the crowd. This is your last chance, Black Wolf, Torrin, the burly pack enforcer, called from the gathered wolves. Prove you're one of us, or leave. Nora's jaw tightened, her mother's journal tucked in her cloak, its weight a reminder of her heritage. I'm not here to destroy you, she said, her voice ringing. I'll prove it. Gideon's hand brushed her arm, his voice low. You don't have to do this, Nora. We can find another way. She met his gaze, her heart racing. No, I need to end this. For them, for us. Mara, the healer, stepped forward, her silver-streaked hair glinting. The hunt's no simple task, she warned. You'll track a rogue beast, a shadow fang, deep in the ironwood. It's cunning, and the forest's magic protects it. Sounds fun, Nora said, her tone dry but her stomach twisted. She felt her black wolf power stir, a warmth in her chest, unsteady but growing. Cassian's voice cut through the crowd. She'll fail, he said, his blue eyes gleaming. And when she does, Gideon, you'll have no excuse to keep her. Gideon's eyes blazed. She won't fail, Cassian, and you'll answer for your letter to the hunters, the pack murmured, unease rippling. Cassian's smirk faltered, but he shrugged. Prove it, Alpha. Or are you too busy mooning over your black wolf? Enough, Gideon growled, stepping forward. The hunt begins at dusk. Nora, prepare. In the healer's hut, Mara helped Nora pack. Daggers, moonwort, a vial of sacred ash. Cassian's planning something, Mara said, her voice low. I saw him slip into the forest this morning. Nora's hands paused, tying her cloak. Sabotage. Likely, Mara said, her brown eyes sharp. Watch your back, child. Your power's strong, but it's wild. Nora nodded, her fingers brushing the journal. Elise wrote about controlling it. Focus, intent. But it's like holding fire. Mara's hand rested on her shoulder. You're Elise's daughter. You'll learn, trust yourself, and Gideon. At dusk, Nora entered the ironwood, her senses sharp. The forest hummed with magic, the air heavy. She tracked the shadow fang's claw marks, her black wolf instincts guiding her. But a trap snapped, a net, weighted with stones, dropping from the trees. She dove, rolling free, but a low growl sounded. The shadow fang loomed, its eyes red, its form blurring with magic. "Nice try, Cassian," Nora muttered, her hands glowing. She shifted partially, her claws extending, and lunged. The beast was fast, its teeth snapping, but her light dazed it. She slashed, drawing blood, but a crossbow bolt whizzed past her. "Cassian's work! Got you!" a voice hissed. Cassian emerged, his crossbow aimed. "You're done, Black Wolf!" Nora's power surged, a wave of light knocking him back. The Shadowfang fled, and she pursued, leaving Cassian cursing. She cornered the beast at a cliff, her light pinning it. "I'm not your enemy," she whispered, her power calming it. It bowed, then vanished into the mist. She returned, bloodied, but triumphant, the beast's fang as proof. The pack cheered, but Cassian's glare promised retribution. Gideon pulled her close, his voice rough. "You're incredible." "Don't get used to it," Nora said, but her smile betrayed her. Chapter 12. The Stronghold's council chamber was a fortress of stone, its air thick with tension. Nora stood beside Gideon, her cloak stained from the hunt, her mother's journal clutched tightly. The pack's mood had shifted. Her victory over the Shadowfang had swayed many, but Cassian's betrayal loomed larger. The letter to the hunters, a damning shadow. Gideon held the charred parchment, his green eyes burning as he faced the pack. "Cassian's betrayed us," Gideon declared, holding up the letter. "He's been feeding hunters Nora's location, endangering us all." The pack erupted, voices clashing. Torren stepped forward, his face grim. "Proof, Alpha. That letter could be forged." "It's not," Nora said, her voice sharp. "He tried to kill me in the forest, set a trap, fired a bolt." Cassian laughed, standing, his blue eyes cold. "Lies from a black wolf. You're all blind, letting her poison Gideon's mind." Mara's voice cut through. "Enough, Cassian. I saw you in the forest, skulking before the hunt. Explain that." Cassian's smirk faltered. "I was patrolling, protecting the pack." "Liar," Nora snapped, her power stirring. "You want me dead because you're scared. Of the prophecy, of me." Gideon stepped forward, his voice dangerous. "You're done, Cassian. Surrender or face me." Cassian's eyes gleamed. "You're weak, Gideon. Too soft for her." He moved suddenly, drawing a blade, and the room exploded. His allies, 5 wolves, attacked, seizing Gideon. Nora lunged, her light flaring, but a guard grabbed her, pinning her arms. "Take them to the cells," Cassian ordered, his voice triumphant. "The Black Wolf dies tonight." Nora struggled, her power flickering. "You'll regret this, Cassian." He smirked, leaning close. "Doubt it. The hunters will thank me." Mara slipped through the chaos, her voice a whisper in Nora's ear. "Wait for my signal." In the cells, Nora and Gideon were chained, the stone walls damp and cold. "This is my fault," Nora said, her voice shaking. "I should have run." Gideon's hand found hers, his touch warm. "No, you're here because you're brave. We'll get out." A clank sounded, Mara unlocking the cell. "Move," she whispered, tossing Nora a dagger. Cassian's rallying his wolves. "We've got loyalists waiting," Nora's heart raced. "Why help us, Mara? You could stay safe." Mara's eyes softened. "Elise was my friend. You're her legacy. Now go." They slipped through the strongholds, tunnels, Nora's light guiding them. "Cassian's working with hunters," she said, her voice low. "He's the traitor my mother feared." Gideon's jaw tightened. "Then we stop him. Together." They emerged to find loyalists, Torren among them, waiting. "We're with you, Alpha," Torren said, his voice firm. The Black Wolves earned her place. Nora nodded, her resolve hardening. "Let's take our pack back." Chapter 13. The Ironwood Forest was a labyrinth of shadows, its pines whispering secrets as Nora, Gideon, and a handful of loyalists fled the stronghold. Cassian's coup had fractured the pack, and Nora's mother's journal, clutched tightly in her pack, held their only hope. Elise had written of a Black Wolf shrine, a place of ancient magic where the prophecy's ritual could be performed. Nora's power hummed, unsteady but fierce, as they trekked deeper into the forest. "We're close," Nora said, her grey eyes scanning the trees. The journal's map was cryptic, but a warmth in her chest guided her, like a beacon. Gideon walked beside her, his sword drawn, his green eyes alert. "You sure about this shrine? It could be a trap." "It's real," Nora said, her voice firm. "Elise hid it for me. For this." Torren, trailing behind, adjusted his axe. "Hope it's worth it. Cassian's wolves are tracking us." Mara, leading the group, paused at a stone archway covered in moss, its runes glowing faintly. "Here," she said, her voice reverent, "the Black Wolf Shrine." The shrine was a circular clearing, its center a stone altar etched with wolves and moons. Nora approached, her power pulsing. "This is it," she whispered, opening the journal. A new page glowed, detailing the ritual. The Black Wolf and Alpha must offer a mutual sacrifice: trust, power, or life. "Sacrifice?" Gideon asked, reading over her shoulder. "What kind?" Nora's throat tightened. "It doesn't say, but Elise wrote, 'The Black Wolf's power can heal or harm. Intent is everything.'" Mara knelt by the altar, her fingers tracing the runes. "Your mother came here once, Nora. She tried to break the prophecy, failed, because her Alpha didn't trust her." Gideon's jaw clenched. "I trust Nora, whatever it takes." Nora met his gaze, her heart racing. "You say that, but if it's your life—" "It's worth it," he said, his voice low. "You're worth it." Torren coughed, breaking the tension. "Sweet, but we've got company. Cassian's wolves are close." Nora's power flared, her hands glowing. "I can protect us. My Black Wolf power. It's waking." Mara nodded, her eyes proud. "Focus, child. Your intent, love, not hate, will guide it." They prepared the shrine, Nora practicing her power, light to shield, claws to strike. Gideon watched, his voice soft. "You're incredible, Nora. Prophecy or not, I choose you." She smiled, fear and love warring within her. "Don't get sappy. We've got a pack to save." As night fell, howls echoed. Cassian's wolves. Nora's power hummed, ready for the fight. Chapter 14. The shrine's clearing was a battlefield under a crescent moon, Cassian's wolves circling like predators. Nora stood at the altar, her hands glowing, her Black Wolf power a steady flame. Gideon and Torren flanked her, their weapons drawn, while Mara and the loyalists guarded the perimeter. Cassian had imprisoned the pack's elders, and Nora's heart burned with resolve. She'd free them and end his betrayal. "They're coming," Torren growled, his axe ready. 10, maybe more." Gideon's eyes met Nora's, his voice firm. "Stay by me. We take the fight to them." "No," Nora said, her voice steady. "I'm sneaking in. My power's stealthy. I can free the elders." Gideon grabbed her arm, his touch warm. "It's too dangerous. Cassian's waiting for you." "Then let him try," Nora said, her grey eyes fierce. "I'm not losing you, or the pack." Mara nodded, tossing Nora a cloak woven with shadow runes. "This'll help." Elise used it for stealth. "Go." Nora slipped into the forest, her power cloaking her in shadow. The stronghold's dungeons were damp, guarded by Cassian's wolves. She moved like a ghost. Her light dimmed and slipped inside. The elders, Lissa among them, were chained, their faces gaunt. "Nora?" Lissa whispered, her silver hair matted. "You're mad to come here." "Mad's my specialty," Nora said, her claws slicing the chains. "Come on." A guard lunged, but Nora's light flared, knocking him out. The elders followed her, slow but determined. Outside, Gideon and Torrin fought Cassian's wolves, their blades clashing. Nora joined them, her power shielding the elders. "Nice timing," Gideon panted, his sword bloodied. "Where's Cassian?" "Gone," Lysa said, her voice grim. "He fled when he heard you were coming." Nora's power surged, her voice sharp. "He's running to the hunters. We need to stop him." They fought their way back to the shrine, Nora's light holding the wolves at bay. Gideon grabbed her hand, his voice raw. "You're incredible, Nora. I'd be lost without you." "Don't. Get used to it," she said, but her smile was warm. "We're not done yet." The loyalists rallied, the elders safe. But Cassian's escape cast a shadow. His hunters were coming, and the ritual was their only hope. Chapter 15. The shrine's altar glowed faintly, its runes pulsing under the starlit sky. Nora sat beside it, her mother's journal open, her body aching from the rescue. Gideon knelt nearby, cleaning his sword, his green eyes watching her with quiet intensity. The elders, now safe, rested with Mara, who deciphered the journal's final pages. The prophecy's truth was clear. Love, not death, could break it, but the ritual's cost loomed. Mara joined them, her face weary but hopeful. "Elise was right," she said, pointing to the journal. "The prophecy's about trust. The Black Wolf and Alpha must love without fear, offer a mutual sacrifice." Nora's heart pounded. "Sacrifice what?" "Our lives, maybe," Mara said, her voice soft. "Or your power, Gideon's dominance." Elise failed because her Alpha doubted her. Gideon's jaw tightened. "I don't doubt Nora, but if this kills her—" "It won't," Nora said, her voice firm. She met his gaze, her grey eyes steady. "I love you, Gideon. That's my choice." His breath caught, his hand finding hers. "I love you too, but I'm scared, Nora. Losing you. You won't," she said, squeezing his hand. "We do this together." Torrin approached, his axe slung over his shoulder. "Sweet, but Cassian's hunters are coming. We need that ritual now." Nora nodded, her power humming. "Then we prepare. The shrine's ready." Mara's eyes softened. "I loved a black wolf once, Nora. He died for me. Don't let your love end like that." Nora's throat tightened. "I won't." They worked through the night, gathering ritual components. Moonwort, ash, blood. Gideon's hand lingered on hers, his voice low. "Whatever happens, Nora, you're my mate. Prophecy be damned." She smiled, tears stinging. Stubborn wolf. As dawn broke, howls echoed. Hunters, led by Cassian. Nora's power flared, her resolve steel. The ritual would save them, or break them. Chapter 16. The ironwood forest trembled under the weight of an approaching storm, its dark pines swaying as dawn's light bled through the canopy. Nora Vale stood at the edge of the Black Wolf Shrine, her raven hair loose, her grey eyes scanning the horizon. The ritual to break the prophecy loomed, but Cassian's betrayal had brought a new threat. Hunters, allied with him, were closing in on the Ironfang sanctuary. Gideon Blackthorn, the Alpha, stood beside her, his green eyes fierce, his sword at his hip. The pack, loyalists rallied after the rescue, prepared defenses, their faces grim. "They're coming," Torrin said, jogging to them, his axe gleaming. Scouts spotted hunters, maybe 20, armed with silver bolts. Cassian's leading them. Nora's stomach twisted, her mother's journal clutched in her hands. "He's desperate," she said, her voice steady despite her fear. "He knows. We're close to breaking the prophecy." Gideon's hand brushed hers, his touch grounding. "He won't touch you, Nora. I swear it." "Don't make promises you can't keep," she said, her smile faint. "We need to protect the shrine. The ritual's our only shot." Mara emerged from the shrine, her silver-streaked hair braided, her brown eyes sharp. The altars. Ready, she said, holding a vial of sacred ash. But the hunter's silver will weaken us. Nora, your black wolf power's our best defense. Nora nodded, her hands glowing faintly. I can shield us, but it'll drain me. Gideon's jaw tightened. Then we hold them off. Torren, fortify the perimeter. Mara, stay with Nora. I'm not hiding, Nora protested, her voice sharp. I'm fighting. Gideon grabbed her shoulders, his voice low. You're the key to the ritual. If you fall, we lose everything. She met his gaze, her heart racing. And if you fall, Gideon, I can't lose you. He leaned in, their foreheads touching. You won't. We do this together. A howl split the air, hunters breaching the forest. The pack sprang into action, wolves shifting, blades flashing. Nora's power flared, a dome of light shielding. The shrine. Hunters charged, their crossbows firing silver bolts that sparked against her barrier. Cassian stood at their rear, his blue eyes gleaming, a hunter's blade in hand. Black Wolf, he shouted, his voice venomous. You can't hide forever. Nora's light wavered, her knees buckling. He's taunting me, she panted, her hands trembling. Mara knelt beside her, her voice calm. Focus, child. Your intent. Protect, not destroy. Gideon fought at the front, his sword a blur, felling a hunter. Nora, hold the shield, he shouted, blood staining his arm. She gritted her teeth, her power surging. A bolt pierced her barrier, grazing her shoulder, and she gasped, her light flickering. Torren tackled the shooter, his axe swinging. Stay strong, girl, he roared. Nora's vision blurred, but she held on, her love for Gideon anchoring her. The pack pushed back the hunters, their howls rising. Cassian retreated, his smirk cold. This isn't over, he called, vanishing into the trees. The shield collapsed, and Nora fell, her breath ragged. Gideon rushed to her, his hands framing her face. You're hurt, he said, his voice rough. I'm fine, she lied, her shoulder burning. We stopped them, for now. Mara bandaged her wound, her voice grim. Cassian's regrouping. We need the ritual before he strikes again. Nora nodded, her resolve steel. Then let's finish this. Chapter 17. The Black Wolf Shrine was a haven of ancient magic, its stone altar glowing under a midday sun. Nora knelt before it, her mother's journal open, her shoulder bandaged but aching. Gideon stood beside her, his green eyes tense, his armor scuffed from the hunter attack. Mara and Torren guarded the clearing, their weapons ready, while the pack's loyalists patrolled the ironwood. The ritual to break the prophecy was their last hope, but the journal's warning, mutual sacrifice, cast a shadow. Nora traced the journal's runes, her voice quiet. It says we offer something precious, trust, power, maybe our lives. Elise failed because her alpha didn't love her enough. Gideon knelt, his hand on hers. I love you, Nora. Whatever it takes, I'm in. Her throat tightened, her grey eyes searching his. What if it's your alpha dominance, or my black wolf power? We'd be less. Then we're less, he said, his voice firm. As long as we're together. Mara approached, her face weary. Elise wrote of intent, she said, pointing to the journal. Your love must be pure, selfless. That's the sacrifice. Nora's heart pounded. Selfless? I'm scared, Mara. What if I lose him? Mara's eyes softened. You won't. Your mother's love saved you. Yours will save Gideon. Torren's voice broke the moment. Heads up. Scouts spotted movement. Hunters, maybe Cassian. Gideon stood, his sword drawn. We start now. Nora, you ready? She nodded, her hands glowing. Let's do this. They began the ritual, chanting the journal's words, ancient, lilting. The altar flared, magic swirling like a storm. Nora's power flowed, warm and wild, mingling with Gideon's strength. but a coldness crept into her, her black wolf essence draining. "Gideon," she gasped, her voice trembling. "It's taking too much." His grip tightened, his voice raw. "Stay with me, Nora. We're stronger than this." The altar pulsed, and a vision flashed. Elise, her mother, standing with an alpha, their love faltering. "Trust him," Elise's voice whispered. Love without fear. Nora's eyes stung, her power stabilizing. "I trust you," she whispered, her light merging with Gideon's. A shout broke their focus, hunters attacking the perimeter. Torren roared, his axe swinging, while Mara's herbs sparked, warding off bolts. "Finish it," Torren shouted, blood on his face. Nora's knees buckled, her power waning. Gideon caught her, his voice desperate. "Nora, don't stop!" "I'm trying," she panted, tears falling. The altar flared brighter, the prophecy's weight lifting, but the cost was clear. Her power, his dominance, or their lives. Chapter 18. The shrine's clearing was chaos, hunters clashing with the Iron Fang pack, under a darkening sky. Nora and Gideon stood at the altar, their ritual interrupted, their hands clasped as magic swirled. Nora's black wolf power flickered, her body weak from the ritual's drain, but the pack's howls, loyalists, fighting for them, ignited her resolve. Cassian's hunters pressed harder, their silver bolts gleaming, but the pack's unity was growing, inspired by Nora's courage. "Hold the line!" Torren shouted, his axe felling a hunter. Mara's wards flared, shielding the wounded. Her voice chanting ancient spells. Nora's light wavered, her shoulder wound throbbing. "We need to finish," she said, her voice hoarse. "The prophecy." "Not if you die," Gideon growled, his green eyes fierce. He slashed a hunter, his sword bloodied. "Fall back to the altar," she shook her head, standing shakily. "No, they're fighting for us. I won't hide." A hunter charged, his bolt aimed at Nora. Gideon tackled her, the bolt grazing his arm. "Damn it, Nora," he panted, his face pale. "You're too stubborn." "And you're too protective," she shot back, her light flaring to shield them. "Help me finish this." They returned to the altar, resuming the chant. The pack rallied, their howls drowning out the hunters' cries. Lissa, the elder, fought beside Torren, her blade flashing. "For the Black Wolf!" she shouted, her voice carrying. Nora's heart swelled. "They're with us," she whispered, her light steadying. Gideon's hand squeezed hers. "Because of you. You're their queen, Nora." "Don't get sappy," she said, but her smile was warm. The altar glowed, magic surging, but Cassian's voice cut through. "End her," he roared, emerging from the trees, his hunter's blade raised. "The Black Wolf dies." Nora's power flared, a wave of light knocking Cassian back. The pack cheered, their trust in her solidifying. "You're done, Cassian," she shouted, her voice echoing with her Black Wolf strength. He snarled, retreating with his hunters. The pack pursued, their howls triumphant. Nora collapsed, her power spent, and Gideon caught her, his voice raw. "You did it. They're yours." "Not yet," she whispered, her vision blurring. "The ritual." Mara rushed to them, her face proud. "You've united them, Nora. Finish the ritual, and the prophecy's done." Nora nodded, her resolve steel. For the pack. For us. Chapter 19. The Ironwood Forest was a battlefield, the shrine's clearing scarred by combat. Nora stood at the altar, her raven hair matted with sweat, her grey eyes fierce. Gideon fought beside her, his green eyes blazing, his arm bandaged but his sword steady. Cassian had rallied his hunters for a final assault, their numbers bolstered by mercenaries wielding silver-tipped spears. The pack, united behind Nora and Gideon, held the line, but the ritual's completion was their only hope. "They're too many," Torren panted, his axe bloodied. "We can't hold forever." "We don't need forever," Nora said, her hands glowing. "Just long enough." Mara's wards flared, shielding the altar. "Finish the ritual, Nora," she shouted, her voice strained. "Your love's the key." Nora nodded, resuming the chant with Gideon. The altar pulsed, magic swirling, but Cassian charged, his blade aimed at her. "You're mine, Black Wolf!" he roared. Nora's power surged, a dome of light blocking him. "You're nothing," she said, her voice cold. "This pack's mine." Gideon tackled Cassian, their blades clashing. "Stay away from her," he growled, blood dripping from his arm. Nora's light wavered, her strength fading. "Gideon, I need you," she shouted, her voice desperate. He broke free, returning to the altar, his hand clasping hers. "I'm here," he panted. There, chant rising. The pack fought fiercely, Lissa and Torrin leading the charge. Hunters fell, but Cassian's mercenaries pressed harder, their spears piercing wards. Nora's power roared, a tidal wave of light sweeping the clearing. Felling hunters, she staggered, her vision darkening, her black wolf essence teetering. "I'm losing it," she whispered, tears falling. Gideon's grip tightened, his voice raw. "You're not. You're stronger than this. I love you, Nora." Her heart surged, her light stabilizing. "I love you too," she said, their chant peaking. The altar flared, magic consuming them, but Cassian lunged, his blade aimed at Gideon's back. "No!" Nora screamed, her power erupting. A beam of light struck Cassian, pinning him. He roared, collapsing, his blade clattering. The pack cheered, their howls triumphant. Nora's knees buckled, and Gideon caught her, his voice desperate. "Stay with me, Nora." The altar's light dimmed, the prophecy's weightlifting. Cassian was captured, his hunters scattered. Nora's power faded, her body weak, but her heart was full. "We did it," she whispered, her smile faint. Chapter 20. The Black Wolf Shrine was quiet, its altar glowing softly under a twilight sky. Nora knelt before it, her body trembling, her black wolf power a faint ember. Gideon knelt beside her, his green eyes intense, his wounds bandaged but his strength unwavering. The pack, united after the battle, guarded the clearing, their faces alight with hope. Cassian was bound, his rebellion broken, but the ritual to break the prophecy demanded its price. Nora opened her mother's journal, its final page glowing. "It's time," she said, her voice steady despite her fear. "The sacrifice, our power, our bond, maybe our lives." Gideon's hand covered hers, his voice low. "Whatever it takes, Nora, I'm with you." Mara stood nearby, her voice soft. "Elisa's love saved you, Nora. Yours will save the pack." Nora nodded, tears stinging. "What if I lose you, Gideon? I can't." "You won't," he said, his thumb brushing her cheek. "We're stronger than fate." Torrin approached, his axe slung over his shoulder. "Hurry it up, you two. The pack's waiting." Nora smiled, her resolve steel. "Let's do this." They began the ritual, their voices weaving the journal's chant. The altar flared, magic swirling like a storm. Nora's power flowed, mingling, with Gideon's strength. But a coldness gripped her, her essence draining. "Gideon," she gasped, her hands trembling. "Stay with me," he whispered, his grip fierce. "We're almost there." The altar pulsed, and a vision flashed. Elise, smiling, her voice clear. "Love without fear, daughter. Break the curse." Nora's light surged, her heart full. "I trust you," she said, her voice breaking. "I love you." The altar flared, magic consuming them. Nora's power faded, her body weakening, and she collapsed, Gideon's arms catching her. "Nora!" he shouted, his voice raw. The light dimmed, the prophecy's shadow gone. Nora's breathing slowed, her fate uncertain, but Gideon's love held her fast. Chapter 21. The Black Wolf Shrine glowed with an ethereal light, its ancient altar pulsing like a heartbeat under the twilight sky. Nora Vale lay in Gideon Blackthorn's arms, her raven hair matted, her grey eyes half open, her breathing shallow. The ritual to break the prophecy had reached its climax, demanding a mutual sacrifice, her black wolf power, his alpha dominance, or perhaps their lives. The Iron Fang. Pack stood guard around the clearing, their faces etched with hope and fear. Cassian, bound and defeated, glared from the sidelines, his rebellion crushed. Nora, stay with me, Gideon pleaded, his green eyes wild, his voice raw. He cradled her face, his thumb brushing her cheek. We're not done yet. Her lips twitched, a faint smile. Trying, she whispered, her voice weak. The altar's magic swirled, a vortex of light and shadow, pulling at her essence. Her black wolf power, once a roaring flame, was now a flickering ember draining into the ritual. Mara, the healer, knelt beside them, her silver-streaked hair glinting, her brown eyes urgent. The ritual's working, she said, her hands hovering over Nora. The prophecy's breaking, but it's taking too much from her. Then stop it, Gideon snapped, his grip tightening. I won't lose her. Nora's hand found his, her touch cold but firm. No, she gasped. Finish it. For the pack. Torren, the pack enforcer, stood nearby, his axe bloodied from the hunter battle. She's right, Alpha, he said, his voice gruff. We're with her. Don't let it be for nothing. Gideon's jaw clenched, tears glinting in his eyes. Nora, I love you. You're my mate, my everything. I can't. You can, she whispered, her grey eyes locking with his. Trust me, Gideon, like I trust you. The altar flared, magic surging. A vision enveloped them. Elise, Nora's mother, standing in the shrine, her voice clear. Daughter, your love is enough. Let go and live. Nora's heart stuttered, her power fading. Let go, she murmured, fear gripping her. Gideon, what if we do it together? He said, his voice steady. He poured his strength into her, his alpha dominance flowing into the altar, a sacrifice of his own. The light consumed them, the prophecy's weight lifting, but Nora's body went limp, her pulse faint. No, Gideon roared, shaking her. Nora, wake up! Mara's hands glowed, her healing magic probing. She's alive, she said, her voice tense. But weak. The ritual took her power, maybe more. Torren grabbed Cassian, hauling him forward. You did this, he growled. Your hunters, your betrayal. Cassian smirked, blood on his lip. She's still a black wolf. You'll regret sparing her. Gideon lunged, but Mara stopped him. He's not worth it, she said. Nora needs you. The altar's light dimmed, the ritual complete. The pack's bonds stirred, their unity restored. Gideon carried Nora to the shrine's edge, his face etched with pain. You're not leaving me, he whispered, his lips brushing, her forehead. Not now, not ever. Chapter 22. The Iron Fang Sanctuary's healer's hut was warm, filled with the scent of herbs and wax. Nora lay on a straw mattress, her face pale, her breathing steady but weak. The ritual had broken the prophecy, but its cost lingered. Her black wolf power was a faint spark, her body fragile. Gideon sat beside her, his green eyes red-rimmed, his hand clasping hers. Mara tended a cauldron, her face weary, while Torren guarded the door, his axe at his side. She'll wake, Mara said, stirring herbs. Her spirit's strong, like Elise's. Gideon's jaw tightened. She better, he said, his voice low. I gave up my dominance for her. If she doesn't... You didn't just give it up, Mara interrupted, her brown eyes sharp. You shared it. The pack feels it. Stronger. United. You're still their alpha. Gideon looked at Nora, his thumb brushing her knuckles. I don't care about the pack if she's not here. The door creaked, and Lissa, the elder, entered, her silver hair braided. The pack's waiting, she said, her voice soft. They want to honor the black wolf, and you, Gideon. They can wait, Gideon said, his tone sharp. She's all that matters. Nora stirred, her eyes fluttering. Gideon, she whispered, her voice hoarse. He leaned in, his face lighting up. I'm here, he said, his voice breaking. You scared me, Nora. She managed a weak smile. Sorry. Ritual. Worked? Yeah, he said, his hand framing her face. Prophecy's gone. Pack's whole. You did it. We did it, she corrected, her grey eyes warm. Your dominance. Worth it, he said, his voice firm. You're my mate. I'd give it all again. Mara approached, her eyes proud. Your power's weak, Nora, but it's there. You'll heal in time. Nora's smile faded. What am I without it? A black wolf with no wolf? You're Nora, Gideon said, his voice fierce. My queen, power or not. Lissa stepped forward, holding a cloak woven with wolf runes. The pack agrees, she said. You saved us, Nora. You're one of us. Nora's eyes stung, and she sat up, wincing. Thank you, she said, her voice soft. But Cassian, Torrin grinned, cracking his knuckles. Exiled. Dragged. Him to the border myself. He's gone. Gideon's eyes darkened. He better stay gone. Nora squeezed his hand, her resolve returning. We rebuild now, she said. Together. Chapter 23. The Ironfang Sanctuary's great hall buzzed with life, its stone walls adorned with fresh wolf motifs. 3 weeks had passed since the ritual, and Nora stood at Gideon's side, her body stronger, her black wolf power a quiet spark. The pack had rebuilt, their bonds thriving, free of the prophecy's shadow. Nora wore Lissa's cloak, its runes a symbol of her place as co-leader, her grey eyes bright with purpose. You look like you belong, Torrin said, handing her a mug of mead. His axe leaned against the wall, his grin warm. Nora took the mug, her smile wry. Took enough fighting to get here. Mara joined them, her silver hair loose. You earned it, she said, her voice proud. Elise would be proud. Nora's throat tightened. Tell me more about her, Mara. I need to know who I am. Mara sat, her eyes distant. Elise was fire, wild, kind. She loved your father, an alpha from another pack. They tried to unite wolves and black wolves, but hunters, led by Cassian's kin, stopped them. You're their legacy, Nora. Gideon's arm circled her waist, his voice low. You're more than a legacy. You're our future. Nora leaned into him, her heart full. Don't get sappy, Alpha. He chuckled, his green eyes warm. Too late. Lissa approached, her voice carrying. Pack, hear me. The hall quieted, wolves turning. Nora Vale, Black Wolf, has saved us. She leads with Gideon, our alpha, as equals. Cheers erupted, mugs raised. A young wolf, Lila, stepped forward, her eyes shy. Nora, I shifted last night. Felt you, your strength. Thank you. Nora's eyes widened, her power stirring. A faint warmth, enough to heal. She touched Lila's shoulder, her light, soothing. You're welcome, she said, her voice soft. Gideon's grip tightened, his voice a whisper. You're still a black wolf, power or not. That night, in their chamber, Nora sat by the fire, her mother's journal blank now, its magic spent. I'm different, she said, her voice quiet. But I'm okay with it. Gideon knelt, his hand on hers. You're perfect. Pax, stronger because of you, she smiled, tears falling. We're stronger together. Chapter 24. The ironwood forest bloomed with spring, its pines vibrant under a clear sky. The pack gathered in the Black Wolf shrine, its altar adorned with wildflowers, a symbol of renewal. Nora and Gideon stood before it, their hands clasped, ready to solidify their mate bond in a pack ceremony. Nora wore a gown woven with wolf and black wolf runes, her raven hair crowned with moonwort. Gideon, in a tunic of deep green, looked regal, his green eyes locked on her. You nervous? He whispered, his smile teasing. Nora's grey eyes sparkled. Me? Never. You? Terrified, he said, his voice low. Of messing this up. She squeezed his hand, her smile warm. You won't. We've faced worse. Mara officiated, her silver hair glowing in the sunlight. Pack. We gather to bind Nora Vale and Gideon Blackthorn, she said, her voice clear. Their love broke the prophecy, united us. Do you accept them as mates and leaders? The pack roared, their howls echoing. Torren grinned, his axe raised. About time, Alpha. Lissa handed Mara a cord of silver and black, symbolizing wolf and black wolf. Mara bound their hands, her voice soft. Your bond is iron, forged in sacrifice. Speak your vows. Gideon's eyes shone. Nora, you're my mate, my heart. I vow to stand by you, to love you, no matter what. Nora's throat tightened, her voice steady. Gideon, you're my strength, my home. I vow to fight for you, to trust you, always. Mara tied the cord, her smile proud. You are bound, now and forever. The pack cheered, music rising, drums, flutes, laughter. Nora and Gideon kissed, a promise sealed under the shrines. Magic. Lila, the young wolf, approached, her eyes bright. You're our queen, Nora, she said, offering a moonstone pendant. Nora took it, her heart full. Thank you, Lila. You're our future. That night, the pack feasted, their bonds thriving. Nora and Gideon danced under the stars, her power a quiet warmth, enough to heal, to love. Happy? He asked, his arms around her. More than I thought possible, she said, her smile radiant. You? Beyond words, he said, his kiss soft but fierce. Chapter 25. The Iron Fang Sanctuary stood strong, its cliffs blooming with spring's green. Nora and Gideon stood on the stronghold's highest tower, overlooking the pack, wolves training, children playing, mates embracing. A year had passed since the ritual, and the pack thrived, their unity a testament to Nora and Gideon's love. Nora's black wolf power remained a spark, enough to heal, while Gideon led with compassion, his dominance shared with the pack. Look at them, Nora said, her raven hair catching the breeze. They're free. Gideon's arms circled her, his green eyes warm. Because of you. You broke the prophecy, Nora. Us, she corrected, leaning into him. Couldn't have done it without you. He grinned, his voice teasing. Stubborn black wolf. Arrogant alpha, she shot back, laughing. Torren climbed the tower, his grin wide. You two ever stop flirting? Pack's got a surprise. Nora raised an eyebrow. What now? Follow me, Torren said, leading them to the courtyard. The pack gathered, their faces alight. Lissa stepped forward, holding a swaddled infant, a girl with grey eyes, her tiny hand glowing faintly. A black wolf pup, Lissa said, her voice proud. Born last night. We named her Elise for your mother. Nora's eyes stung, and she took the child, her power humming. Elise, she whispered, her smile radiant. She's perfect. Gideon's hand rested on her shoulder, his voice soft. A new legacy. Mara approached, her eyes warm. The black wolves live on, Nora. Through you, through her. The pack cheered, their howls rising. Nora handed Elise back, her heart full. We'll protect her, she said, her voice firm. All of them, Gideon nodded, his grip tightening. Together. As the pack celebrated, Nora looked at Gideon, her mate, her home. The prophecy was gone, but their bond, forged in love, sacrifice, and trust, was eternal. The Iron Fang pack, wolves and black wolves, faced a future bright with hope, their legacy one of unity.